All right, welcome back, moms. It's January 2025, and if you're like us, you're exhausted. The emotional hangover from the elf, the shopping, the wrapping, the decorating, and of course, the undecorating. Or your Christmas tree is still standing, mocking you as a reminder of all the holiday magic that you've been throwing around for weeks. The colds, the coughs, the fevers, they're all the real staple of the holidays. But this is the Momtradiction, where we laugh at the chaos while we embrace the magic, the bittersweet magic of how fast that year flew by, how much they've grown and changed since this time last year. The days are long, but the years are quick. So how do we soak it all in? How do we give our kids the best version of ourselves without losing our own health and wellness in the process? Should we set goals for ourselves? Should we set them for our family? Do we just focus on the kids? Motherhood itself is a contradiction. We're the pilot and the passenger, the dealer and the user. So tonight, let's dive into a conversation about what we're leaving behind in 2024 and how we're stepping into 2025. Today, we're going to flip the script and kick it off with our nails and fails, because every resolution starts with reflection. So we'll share our biggest mom fails from last year and how we're determined to nail it this year. We're not doctors or experts. We're not talking theories or philosophies. We're real moms with real problems, sharing simple solutions. So if that sounds like your vibe, hit subscribe and join the conversation. Leave a comment about your biggest fail of 2024 and how you hope to nail it in 2025. We would love to hear from you. So let's start with Vernita, because girl, you have had one busy year. You kicked it off with a kitchen renovation. You thought I forgot. You changed jobs only to become a stay-at-home mom. A heartbreaking adoption loss, shared on episode 2. And then unexpectedly matched with 1-year-old twins, going from a family of 3 to 5 overnight. So V, while you were sitting around eating bonbons, tell us how you're feeling. Tell us about your fails, your nails, and most importantly, what are you looking forward to?
Wow. I mean, when you put it like that, I just feel like I should go get in the bed. Like, I've done enough. 2024 was enough.
Amen.
I forgot about that renovation. Like, I didn't, but I did. I think I blocked it out. It was just like a very painful, like 11-month process that started. Yeah, we started in 2023.
Okay.
There was a lot of failures in that process with frankly, our contractor and some misfires in communications. But yeah. So nailing and failing. I mean, I feel like becoming a family of 5, the thing that we're failing right now is like our immunity. I have never been so sick in my life. Like,
oh gosh.
My husband always says I have like a mom superpower where whatever little disease Justice brings home, I never get it. Like,
just skips over
from the time she was 2, she came home from daycare with hand, foot, and mouth, and I just like, boop, not me. My husband got hand, foot, and mouth as like a 30-something-year-old. So, but I just have not, I've just always skipped it. Even when she got COVID, he got COVID, I didn't. And so since we had the babies, we've had stomach flu. We've had 2 to 3 colds. And it's just like, every 3 weeks we have something. And I'm like, dude, I got to do something. So this week I ordered like this toddler immunity drop stuff. And I'm just going to give them that every day because, I mean, it's not like I can give them a Flintstone, but if I can give them something, and then I'm starting to take emergency more regularly, just because I think it's a part of it sometimes when you have multiple kids. Like, I've talked to other moms that are just like, oh yeah, that's just like par for the course. Like, your family's sick now. Yeah. But I just refuse to believe that we're always going to be sick. So we've got to do something. It's also the coldest week of the year.
Right.
But I guess if I had a kind of resolution going into this year, it is definitely a focus on health for me and the kids, and just making sure, we're all staying hydrated. We're having our vitamins. We're, doing what we can. And, one thing I'm not great about is, like, I obviously have one school age kid. And when she comes home, she like puts her grubby little hands on everyone and kisses everyone. But I should like make her shower before she starts loving up on everybody.
Like spray her down.
Yeah,
Lysol
spray her
bath.
down.
Like, yeah.
So that's I definitely don't want getting sick to be on our 2025 bingo card. Which, speaking of, have y'all seen this new resolution trend with the bingo card vision board?
No.
Okay, so I kind of love this idea. It's you sit down and kind of brainstorm your goals for the year, and then you put them all sort of equally weighted on this bingo card that you make for yourself. And the idea is like, you didn't go through and say, well, I've got 10 goals and like priority number 1 is this, priority number 2 is this. And if you didn't get priority number 1, but you got priority number 7, then you lose. Like the idea is just like, maybe like have some fun with it. Maybe you'll get 5 out of your 20 things that you want to do, and maybe they're all in a straight line.
You get a
Or
bingo?
Like,
can you imagine that?
I know, then you get a bingo.
You're like, I got a bingo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like it.
So maybe you get like 3 that are close, and then you're like, all right, in order to get bingo, I really need to run that half marathon.
So
then you like,
do this.
yeah, then you like, it like incentivizes you to go after that next thing in a fun way.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of people are taking that up.
Huh. Do you guys do
I love that.
vision boards?
I have in the past. I hadn't done one this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I love them. I believe in them. I think they're really great and effective for putting it at the front of your mind. But also, I'm like, I don't think I've done one since I was like 25 years old.
I've never done one, but like, I like love the idea. Like, I keep being like, I know it's a 10th, but like, I should just do one. Like it seems like fun and to like look at.
Trying to embrace this year is letting January be a month of reflection versus a year of resolution.
So January isn't going to be like, go get them.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, especially as moms, we literally just spent the last 45 days creating magic, right? Like night after night after night, we just spent. We didn't even have time yet to look at what happened in the year that just passed before it's Happy New Year. Like, for us to give ourselves the grace to be like, all right, like as a woman, as a person, as a mother, I need to take a beat and take in everything from last year, including the last 45 days of magic I just created. And like, now look at what I would love for us to do as a family or me as an individual in the year ahead. I think like I've heard of this concept and I personally love it, and I think it's so necessary. I think it's just like we put way too much pressure on ourselves to be producing in month 1 of the year.
That's true.
I'm feeling
true.
that right now where it's, and I blame these snow days and just the holiday, but I'm like, I have big plans. Like I love resolutions, but I also feel so like I haven't started. I haven't thought about it. I don't care. I'm not being hard on myself. I'm not, I'm just like, I'm going to ease into it. It's a marathon, not a sprint, So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen, speaking of like in our local community, a lot of like posts for, like we have a big bridge here in Charleston called the Cooper River Bridge. And there's a race that happens on that bridge in April. It's like a 5K or something. And it says, like the advertisement was like, make running the bridge your resolution. So it's like literally a marathon, but they're like, but also get your stuff together because April is 90 days from now.
Right.
I did do that this summer. I did a little tiny triathlon that was really local and it worked. Like I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't in shape. I had my sister-in-law do it with me. She felt the same, but I'm like, it was effective there was just times where I was a little more like instead of sitting at the neighborhood pool, I was like, let me swim some laps during adult swim. Awesome. It was just enough to just every once in a while be like, let me get on my bike and I'll take my kids for a bike ride. I'm not like cycling or training hard, but it was like, I should pedal a bike before I do a triathlon. So
right.
There's not much to it, but I'm like putting it out there. But I've also done that before and then just eaten $100 worth of registration because I'm just like, I'm not doing this. What I signed up for this 6 months ago.
Right.
And it's not worth it. Like, I'm just going to eat that money. It was a donation to the charity and I'm not going. So I'm
It's
like,
fine.
it works sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, ain't
But-
that the truth with like everything? Sometimes
Yeah.
it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
love that. So your plan is more of to kind of just stay in that reflection mode and then see what comes of that.
Yeah, and I mean, my birthday's also in January, and I have actually despised having a January birthday in years
Okay.
past because it feels like I'm always trying to lose weight on my birthday. Like it's like, happy birthday, you can't have cake, or like, or
Yes.
maybe you do, but now you're cheating on your diet.
Yes.
So like, I'm just not. Like, I'm definitely not eating Christmas cookies every night anymore.
Right.
But like, I'm not putting the pressure on myself of like, it's January, you gotta be in line.
Right.
And then like my birthday's next week, and so for me to like basically like screw me on my own birthday and be like, oh, that was a really nice thoughtful cake you guys got me. Like, I
Yeah.
remember last year really not eating my own birthday cake.
Oh,
And it did,
yeah.
and guess
Yeah.
what? It didn't do me any good. I weighed the same thing on January 1st and the same thing on December 31st. Okay.
So
It
all you
didn't
did
do-
was miss out on the cake. Like,
all
yeah.
I did was miss out on cake.
And that's like a reflection, I guess. Like, you know, to take the
Exactly.
time and be like, screw that. I'm going to eat
Yeah.
that cake and like, you know?
Yeah. So this year, I'm just like, you know, I will appreciate being celebrated. I will have a slice of cake and not beat myself up about it. And then, you know, any additional healthy habits that I want to weave in February, like I will start that month off as kind of like the first month of production, I guess I would say. But I'm do y'all have any weight loss goals? I feel like as moms, it's always a race to get your body back.
Okay.
Mine is long gone, but what about
Yeah.
y'all?
Yeah. I mean, this body ain't coming back. Like, I don't know where this body's at. It's in outer space, but you know, it's like, we're just saying. But you know, yeah, yeah, you know, I got some health and wellness goals, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mine is God. So I also feel the same where I'm like, I've wasted so much time in my life with worrying about my weight and everything else. But I will say that I feel like motherhood set me free. Like I just like, I don't know. I knew I was going to gain weight through pregnancy and then I just like went at it. Like I was just like, whatever, Chick-fil-A milkshakes for breakfast. Like
Oh
who
yeah,
cares?
I remember that.
Yeah.
And then I never really came out of that. Like, I feel like I was really forgiving. So I'm like, I took off 6 years. Like I have a 7-year-old and I'm like 6 years of really being like, who cares? No one's looking at me. I don't need a good body. Like I'm busy being a mom, just all the rationalization. And then this year I did finally, I feel like I got healthy.
Yeah.
And so my goal for 2025 is like, I have found new health and like, it's been really easy. Like mine is just like strip it all away and just eat like nothing processed, right? So like if it comes in like a box, a bottle, a jar, like just nothing. Like so farm to table kind of like minus the recipes because I'm not a good cook. But so for me, just like who's a busy person I just don't need to know all the information. I don't want to cook fancy meals. I don't want to make a meal plan and the grocery shopping. Like I do the thing where I order it on my phone and then I drive to the grocery store and they put it in my car. Like,
oh, that's
I
so
don't
smart.
like shopping, which I know I've just talked to other friends that are like, I love to shop or I love to cook or bake. And I'm like, I'm none of those things. So like, I just need food to not be a thing. I just want to like eat and move on. So I feel really good about it. But where I'm at now is I'm like, my kids are not there yet. And that's my fault. That's not their fault. Like they
Wait,
still
what do you
eat
mean?
like Chick-fil-A and
Okay.
candy and Dorito, like just the worst foods are their favorite foods. And so like I have tried, and now they're not like, I'm not eating these dinners. Like they're good eaters. But I am at a point where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to put that in my body because I know how it makes me feel. And I like, I half to figure out how to do that for my kids, because I'm finding it to be a weird, like, it's almost like showing love. Like, I'm like, oh, here's your, like,
Chicken
okay,
nuggets.
yes, of course they bake. Yeah, they
Yes,
just like
here's
they
a
bake for
milkshake.
something.
Yeah.
Or like the ice cream thing. Yeah, like they're always just like, can we have ice cream? And it's like, I don't know. So I just don't know how to balance it, because I feel very like I'm not giving it to myself anymore.
Yeah.
Because now I know the harmful effects, but then I'm giving it to their tiny little bodies. But I also don't want to deprive them of childhood. Like, where it
Right.
feels like food is such a part, like you said, your birthday in January, like everybody needs to eat cake. And when they go to, like, there's freaking birthday parties like every other weekend. So I'm like, I can't be too crazy. They're going to eat it regardless. But I definitely don't have that balance figured out. And then we're busy. Like, I think I've shared my sports extracurricular activities with you guys. And I'm like, it's just really easy to be like, oh, we won't be home till 9:00 tonight. So like, we're going to stop and get Chick-fil-A. We're going to pick up
And here
pizza,
you go. Yeah.
McDonald's, Lunchables the next day. Like, they'll, like, if I stop at a gas station, they're like, can you get Lunchables for lunch tomorrow? And I'm like, hell yeah, because that means I don't have to make lunch.
It's easy.
Yeah.
But also it's like garbage lunch for them. So
Yeah.
I think about that sometimes. I'll be like, man, like, why are these kids eating all this junk? Like, who's buying this? You know? And then it's like, oh, like, that's me, you know? It's just, but it's hard. It's hard, you know, the ease, the quickness. And, you know, when we were in Costa Rica, there was another family we met there, oddly enough, from South Carolina. That they're looking to move there. So they were going for 3 months and just exploring a month at a time, different parts of the country.
Oh, I love that.
And they had a 3-year-old. And so my girls and their girl were just like having so much fun. And the mom was saying like, oh, she's missed like hanging out with kids and stuff. But then, so of course I had brought with us, packed in my suitcase, a huge bag of goldfish because, you know.
Of course.
Because you can't leave the house without snacks.
Of course.
Like,
Yes. And like we had it down at the pool and the girls are just eating it, whatever. And their little girl was like, can I have some? Can I have some? And the mom was like, no. And like in a way of like, I felt so judged for like, I'm like, oh my God. You know, yes, totally. And then like they left and came back with like a container of grapes. And like and the mom was like, here, girls, have some fresh local grapes.
OMG.
So it was just like a lot. But then like their little girl kept like eyeing the goldfish and like kept being like, well, Mom, can I have some goldfish? Let me have some goldfish. So it just was a weird situation, probably for both of us, you know? Because for me, I'm like, just let this kid have goldfish. Like, here's the gringa, like, coming with a big bag of goldfish. Like, she probably won't have them again for months, you know? I didn't really see them in the grocery store there. You know, but like, and then I get it for her. She's probably like, oh my gosh, this like friggin' beast woman is over here stuffing her kids with goldfish. You know what I mean?
She's so like, this is who I'm trying to escape. This is why I'm leaving America.
Totally, you know.
Gosh, see, that's so hard though, because you don't want to become crazy, but if she has made that switch and she's like so healthy, then I'm like, it's bad. Like, how do you but also, do you worry? Like, so I was raised in a pretty healthy home, and I vividly remember, even as an adult, like I will even say, like, sorry to call you out, Julianne, but I'm like, you keep a pretty stocked pantry. And like when I come visit, I don't, even as an adult, I don't keep my own stock pantry. Like, I know that I can't control myself around food. So like when I get to your house, it's like the same thing over again, where I'm like, just like, oh, should I have Oreos or chocolate chip cookies for breakfast? Like, this is not an option at my house. So like, do you worry about moderation, teaching your kids to like have it sometimes, don't have it other times? Or do you say, I'm the adult and I'm just like, you can't eat this garbage, and be the mom that's like, I'll go get you some grapes? Or like, I mean, I don't know. And then you're the mom that's like, I only eat grapes in the form of wine. So just...
Oh Lord.
It definitely feels like that's what I know. We're talking resolutions tonight, but I'm like, I am determined to like find this balance, but I
Yes.
don't even
Yeah.
know what it.
What
I
it
don't even
looks
know what
like.
balance is. Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
that is too nutty. I'm with you. Like, let her eat some goldfish.
Yeah.
It's 1 hour of the day, and you're obviously a super healthy person.
Right.
That's what I
But
think. I mean, I think because like you know how you say you took 6 years off of New Year's resolutions or
that's right.
whatever? I
Probably
do
10
I
if I'm honest.
I think that's what happens. I remember I had this colleague one time and she was very, very healthy, y'all. Like she ran every day during lunch. She ate a
Oh,
salad every
nice.
day for lunch. And I was like, girl, you're my idol. But anyway, her kids always ate very healthily too, because that's the only thing that she cooked. Well, her kids went to a birthday party one weekend and her daughter comes up to her at the party and goes, Mom, have you heard of hot dogs? These are so good, right? Now she decides in that moment, she's like, well, I'm just let her have it because we're at this birthday party. Come to
Yes.
find out, her kid stuffs down 6 hot dogs at that party. So they get home and her
Crap.
kid is just vomiting
Puking.
everywhere.
Yeah. Yes.
She's like, what happened? She's like, I don't know. I like had such a good time at the party. She's like, how many hot dogs did you eat? And she goes, only 6. And like,
They're so little.
Hot
they're
dogs.
so
Can you
little.
imagine?
But can you imagine being like 7 years old and never having had a hot dog and being like, what is this delicacy?
Yeah,
This
just
is
like
yeah.
like,
like
ooh,
salty, meaty,
yes,
like the whole
salty,
shebang. Yeah, yeah.
white bread.
Oh
So
yeah.
she
Yes.
like goes completely overboard. And I think that that is what we don't want for our kids.
Yes.
We want them to be exposed to things and understand things and
Yeah.
know that there are different ways of living and conducting yourselves and options and all of those things.
Right.
But
Yep.
like the same way that we say, well, different families, different rules. Like, yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe in her family she like busts down some Doritos, but like, you know what? How many does the bag say? And this is a teachable lesson, right? Like, oh, the bag says 14 is a serving, mommy. Why don't you count out 14 and that's how many you'll be able to treat yourself to? And just let it be that.
Right.
Yeah.
But like I think like never showing them Doritos.
Yeah. But also, do you create? I'm like so worried. So I have been like psychotic about part of the reason why I've been so like gentle on myself and my own diet is because I'm raising 2 girls and I refuse to give them like body issues.
Mm-hmm.
So like part of like being gentle on me is just absolute like lying to everyone around me because I'm like, I feel great. Everything's great. Looks great. Like if they walk in and I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like tugging on my love handle, I'm like, as soon as they're in the room, I'm like, looking good. Because like how I talk to myself is how they're gonna talk to themselves. So like it really has played into like me being kind of like not critical. Like I just am like, oh, everything's great. We're great. You're great. We're great. And it's just an interesting thing. Cause I'm like, even the like, okay, well, like look at the calories and count how many you can have 10 chips. I like worry that that's creating, like I just feel like I've
Well, I
seen
mean, I think
reality
if you're
TV.
militant about it, for sure. But I think
Yeah.
if you present it as like, well, the people who made these said that 14's enough. So why don't you
Yeah.
start with 14 and see if you feel like that's enough?
Yeah.
And know that we also have grapes and we also have pineapple.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
also like I am your mother and 14 is never going to be enough.
I know. I had to pull the plug on like the Cheetos. Like we were just like the puffy Cheetos. We went to like
Love
puffy
Cheetos.
Cheetos. Yeah. I don't like the puffy ones, but like they were so into them.
The crunchy ones.
Yeah.
The cheese balls. Have you ever gotten the big tub of cheese balls?
Have we ever? Have we ever? Have we ever?
This podcast is taking a turn for the worse. We're supposed to be talking
All right.
about.
Okay.
Let me get us back on track.
No. Well, I can get us back on track
okay.
here.
All right.
Okay.
Where are we going, Julianne?
I feel like we were both talking. Something that I feel like I failed at last year and want to do better is kind of like being nicer to myself. and
Ah.
not as critical, where like it is hard. Like I feel like, you look in the mirror and be like, oh, these wrinkles keep coming, or
Mm.
like this whatever. And then even just of with momming of like, man, am I a bad mom? Am I doing this wrong?
Mm.
Am I doing that wrong? Even, with my relationship with my husband of like, am I a bad wife? Am I cooking bad? Am I doing this bad? And I just feel like I was really hard on myself. And I think
Mm.
this has been like a long time coming, and I'm finally able to like reflect on it and be like, dang, why are you so mean to yourself?
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think a little bit with Stella as she's getting older and having um different like relationships with like girls, and we're talking about like navigating friendships and that. And I'm always like, well, just be like nice. And she has this or that or whatever is good about her. And then I'm like, but then why do I sit there and I'm like mean to myself? Why do I,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or just like never feel like whatever I do is like good enough? Um,
Yeah.
Mm.
so
Yeah,
that's
that's
something,
real.
yeah, that I just feel like, dang, like everything I'm doing is good enough. Like if I'm getting up in the morning and like that's good enough some days, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that's something I feel like I really like failed at and am looking to, get better at.
So one thing, like just to kind of put you in like a different frame of thought, that I wonder if this will work for you, but it's like
Sure.
one thing that's helped me is like when you're raising daughters, like you see yourself in those kids, right?
Mhm.
So, and
Mhm.
as a mom, I mean, they're just the most perfect creatures. And I don't mean like their behavior all the time, but I'm like, they're just beautiful
Yeah, mother's
and
love.
just they're perfect. Yes, a
Mhm.
mother's love. And I'm like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of qualities that I had like that I see in my oldest child that are me. Like,
Your
Mhm.
twin.
yeah, my
Mhm.
husband calls her my mini me. And it's
Yes,
like
yeah.
some of that is not positive. Like
Yeah.
it's stubborn, it's too independent, it's hard-headed. It's like there's qualities that I feel very like challenged by.
Mhm.
But then I'm able, like I've at times, not all the time, but I've been able to be like, you know what? She's like a perfect creature.
Mhm.
And who I am and how I got here, like it's almost like genetics. Like it's made me be like, you know what? This is just genetics. Like
Yeah.
clearly
Yeah.
it's been passed down to her. And
Yes.
like she's perfect. I can see that she's perfect and I can see
Yeah.
how this will serve her well.
Yes.
And I'm okay with it. I obviously have to like parent it and navigate. And we talk like through some of the things, but it's like it's helped like almost what you're talking about is like where I have a quality that I'm like, I hate that about myself. It's
Yeah.
like helped me be like, but it is who you are and you're perfect.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
just
Oh, that's nice.
like a
Yeah.
weird just twist of like if you gave yourself 1/15th of like the grace we give our kids
Yeah.
to
Yes.
have those natural qualities and like acknowledge, like when I see a 4-year-old and how like jealous she gets or FOMO from her big sister, like that's just human nature. So like why am I mad at myself that
When
I'm
that
jealous
happens.
over something? Like it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
feels very like, oh, this is just nature. This is human. This is not a me issue.
This is
This
human.
is not my
Yeah.
mental health.
Yes. Yeah.
This is not anything. This is just who we are. And like
Yeah.
keep on going because it's working. I mean, we're
Yeah.
fine. You're fine as your friend.
Yes.
I'm like, you're
Yeah.
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
agree with you. Like, I've seen you be really hard on yourself. But I don't know. I just
I
think it's
Yeah.
have.
a secret hack to mom life is you're
No,
like, if your
that's,
kid
I
is
love that.
perfect,
I
you're
love
pretty
that too.
perfect too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I've
Wow.
got a friend that whenever she hears me say bad things about myself, just like, oh, yeah, I messed that up or anything, she goes, don't talk about my friend like that. My friend's the best.
oh,
And
Oh,
like she adamantly does it. Like
I
she
love that.
and
yeah.
consistently does it as if like she's gonna fight me talking about me. And I love that she does that. And I think that even if you can have that mindset too of like, don't talk about a friend like that. Like you're your first
That's
friend.
amazing.
You know
Yeah.
what
I
I
love
mean?
that.
Yes. I love that too.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to use that with high schoolers. Like I work with those high schoolers that they're just
Yeah.
all so
Yeah.
self-deprecating that I'm like, oh my God, I love that line. Don't talk about my friend like that. That's my favorite student. Don't like,
Yeah.
and it's so non-combative. And it's like, yeah, it's so
Yeah.
true. And I would never, it's the same thing. Like you would never talk to me or Julianne
No.
how you talk to yourself. And
I
I'm
would,
like, that's
you
so
would be
much
like
easier said than done.
appalled. Do you know what I mean? If you were if
Yes.
you like, it would be like, oh my God, like you're a bad person. Don't like, you
Yes.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
like, yeah.
It is
Oh my
crazy.
gosh.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great, and I'm also like changing all our gears because I'm like, okay, guys, we're friends. We're talking once a week. I'm like, this is our GD New Year's resolution is to just like, yeah, be kind
Yeah.
to ourselves and
Yes.
like not let friends be
Like
uh
looking out for other
Bad to
women, other
yes,
themselves.
moms.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
I
yeah.
love
really
that.
just
And
yeah.
just like roll it. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Yeah.
And it really does make everything better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's some quote, and I actually meant to look it up because I feel like it's like tonight with reflection and resolutions, but it's something about just like, it's a teacher quote where it's like, I have come to the startling conclusion that like, I am the climate in my classroom. Like every
Oh,
weather depends on me. Like it's just
Oh,
one of those quotes. And I'm like, I feel like it's motherhood where it's like, no matter what, it's us. Like we set the
yeah.
tone
oh,
and
that's so true. Yeah.
husbands are great, but I'm like, if you're doing all these things and it's like not coming from a place of authenticity, like if I'm trying to create like love and joy and happiness and I don't
Yeah.
feel joy, like I'm not sure what you leave them with, but it's like they do what we do, they don't do what we say. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think if we could get that, like give yourself a break and feel happy and
Yeah.
Hmm.
like give and the grace. And actually, Vernita, you were the one that the phrase like we give grace sometimes. Like
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you told me
Oh
a
Yes.
story
yeah.
of the playground and you literally taught her the phrase to like give someone
Give
grace
somebody
or
grace.
Yeah.
and it's
Yes.
like I use that now and I had to teach my kids what grace meant and like we use it with the sisters. So it's like, well, you can decide. Like you guys cannot talk for a few minutes or you could just give her grace because she's 4 or you could and I'm like, it's really
Love
interesting
that.
to be
Hmm.
like, wow, this works because we need it. They need
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Everybody
Everybody
needs it.
needs it.
Everybody
Yeah. Yeah.
deserves it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then at the end of the day, like all of that little stuff that would have been like a negative thing, it's like none of it matters at the end of the day. None of it
Hmm.
matters at the end of the year. I mean, it's
Hmm.
just like
So
stupid. So,
true.
Hmm.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, so true.
So true.
I on this theme of grace, I would love to kind of like bring us home with this poem that I found, which is like a
Oh.
little bit different for us, but I follow this mom who is a blogger, poet, writer, and she wrote this poem about January that really resonated with me. And it's short. It's called "If the Month of January Was Your Friend."
Hmm.
She'd be quiet at first, take time to get to know, but once you did, you'd be friends for life. You'd realize that while everyone else was busy talking, January was listening, which made her, of course, brilliant at seeing people as they were. She'd point out specific ways someone was gifted or would piece together something they had been talking about wanting to do for years, and they'd feel understood in the best of ways. January, as soft as she was often encouraging others to be bold. It's just a dream, a friend would sigh when January suggested that they finally hike in the Himalayas or take a year off to travel, or write a novel, or change their career midlife. Someone's going to do it this year, she'd say gently, carefully selecting just the right words to make her point. What if that someone was you? And that is by Hannah Rosenberg, mom, writer, blogger. And I
Oh,
thought it was a sweet poem, just kind of thinking about a softness into January, but also it being full of all these possibilities, right? Like we, to your point, Lindsay, have so much influence over what happens in our home with our kids, with our partners. And if we approach the year with that sort of gentleness and grace and possibility versus a hecticness or like a production mindset, I just think that, I don't know, maybe we'll have better years.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
I'm so sick of hearing about like self-love and like, do you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
hate to be like so like I'm just over it because I'm like, what is even self-love? But I feel like this is the best conversation I've ever had to be like, oh, I think it's just that. Like it's not a pedicure
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
for me,
No.
I'm like, it's not like breathing exercises or meditation. Like I'm like, oh, actually, I think it's just about like restructuring the way we think about ourselves and then how that trickles down to our family, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not easy. I mean, it's undoing 38 years of negative self-talk, you know? I mean, it's,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, it's real. But I love that. That's
So
a great
real.
poem.
That was a great poem. And it's crazy. I feel like fits in so well with everything we've been talking
This-
about. And
yeah.
it just shows that like, dang, so many people are on that same like way. You know what I mean? We're all feeling the same feelings.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we're not all, but you know,
Yeah,
there's
in our
people
own
out
ways.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's also,
That's cool.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, if pulling this poem out is premature, Lindsay can just place it wherever if it
no, that's great.
fits.
It's a great poem. I feel,
That was
and
perfect.
it's weirdly like for three people that sit down and have no clue what we're going to say. I'm like, that poem is spot on.
It was
I
so
literally
good.
just like combine things like
Yeah.
on my computer. I'm like,
Okay.
oh, this feels
Yeah.
appropriate. Let me pull
Yeah.
this out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
so like kind of reflect again, January about reflection. But so one thing that I'm taking away from the conversation is I absolutely love the don't talk about my friend like that. Like if I
Oh.
ever hear someone beating themselves up or just even myself, like what a fun, and I'm going to use it with my kids. Like if they say
Yeah.
like, I can't
Oh,
do
yes.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
well, my daughter can do that. Like, it's just
It's
a
so
very
good. So
cool
good.
thing. Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. That's my biggest takeaway. What's your biggest takeaway, Jules?
I mean, same. I like
Yeah.
that was like amazing, you know, and it just I feel like will be helpful to myself and like you said with like my kids, even like with my mom, you know what I mean? Like it's all connected, you know what I mean? And I think just like building people up and like building myself up, you know what I mean? Of like we're all doing the best we can, you know?
Yeah.
And just yeah, that's my takeaway.
Yeah. So Vernita, what's
Love
your
that.
takeaway? You brought that, so you can't take that away.
I know I can't take that one away.
Yeah.
I think I just love in general Julianne being kinder to herself. And so it's not even the saying of don't talk about my friend like that, but just borrowing the be more kind to myself in this
Yeah.
year. And two, as you said at the top of the episode, like we had a pretty trying 2024 and
Mhm.
now we have 3 kids, which in and of itself is trying. So
Yes.
being good to me, like I think focusing less on being a producer or having like a goal oriented lifestyle, which has been very typical for me with like being very career driven,
Mhm.
thinking about well-being differently and just
Yeah.
like how am I being well in my mind, in my heart, and in my body. I think that's
Yeah.
really my takeaway from our convo
Yeah.
tonight.
And eat that birthday cake. Like
And
eat my
right?
birthday
Eat
cake.
that
Birthday
birthday
cake.
cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like, I know we're going to wrap it up, but I'm like, that survive versus thrive has been like a helpful kind of expression. Controllables and uncontrollables. Like I do try to divide things into those where I'm like, this is totally out of my control. So I just have to like, let it go. And then these are the things I can like write down and check a list. And so like controllables, those are 2, but then the other 2 big ones that have like brought me a lot of peace is just the phrase of like, I'm in survival mode right now. And then there's times where you're like, oh, this is thrive time because there's just a difference. And it could vary from hour to hour. Like, I don't mean it as some grand thing. I know people talk about seasons, different seasons and whatever. But for me, it's like really helped to be like, this is just a survival day. Like I'm just putting
Just
one
gotta
foot in
make
front of
it.
the other. And then when you feel that energy or that happiness or you're like things do work out, then you're like, I'm thriving and I'm going to capitalize. And then I know that the survival rate's going to come back and it's going to be
come
hard
back.
again.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome. This was a really good talk. I feel like we're all heading in to 2025 and we can hold each other accountable. So like and subscribe to our channel because we'll touch back on these things for sure. And this is basically Momtradiction. We're sharing the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows of motherhood. And I think if we can all be more kind while all these contradictions drive us crazy, we'll be better off for it. And our kids will too.
For sure.
So, thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.